Whether new shooter, longtime gun owner, or even police officer or soldier, your handgun needs a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Crimson Trace.
The #1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
Oh, baby. We're having so much fun talking about guns, I never want to stop. Maybe we don't. Well, we're into the hour 3. We're going to go into hour 4 because, of course, the after show is always there. And if you missed it last week, holy cow, did you ever miss a lot? You definitely want to go back and listen to it. I can't even tell you on broadcast radio what we did. That's why we do the after show. So it's if you have not heard the after show, you definitely have to pull it down. Easiest way is to go grab the free, absolutely free smartphone app, Gun Dealio. Saves money for you, lets you know about the cool deals out there, what's going on, gives you news, gives you videos, and you get the Gun Talk radio podcast through your Gun Dealio app on your smartphone. How neat is that? Yeah. Did I mention it's free? Yes, I did. Okay. Hottest thing going in guns is not pocket guns. It's not AR-15s. It's not semi-autos. The hottest thing in the last few years across the board on firearms are suppressors, silencers. Everybody wants them, and state after state after state has legalized them in some form or fashion. A lot of states now allow hunting with silencers. To join us right now to talk about that, to educate us on silencers, is Jeremy Mallette from the Silencer Shop, silencershop.com. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Absolutely. So what's going on? Everybody I know either has or wants a silencer these days.
Yeah, you got that right. It's the fastest growing accessory for guns. We sell tons of them, and everybody that has a gun wants a silencer, from 17 HMR to 12 gauge. So.
Well, the thing is, and once you shoot a gun with a silencer on it, you want one, and then once you get a silencer, it's like a gateway drug. Now you want more of them.
That's exactly right. Most people start off with like a 22 silencer because they're inexpensive, and they think, I'm just going to see how it sounds and whatnot. And then as soon as they shoot it, they're like, oh, man, I've got to have one for every gun that I've got.
Exactly, because you think this is the way it ought to be. It's quieter. It doesn't hurt your hearing. Some are and some are not ear safe, and we can get into that in just a little bit. But they're all more comfortable. And there's also an additional thing going on here, and that is a lot of the perceived recoil of a firearm is the noise and the gas blast, and a silencer reduces both of those, right?
Absolutely, pretty significantly. Because of silencers, we're seeing a lot more young shooters and women shooters that are not used to that massive recoil of the larger guns actually go and start shooting them. Okay,
so you can get a silencer for a 22 pistol, which is actually a wonderful way to get started on a 22 semi-auto pistol or a 22 semi-auto rifle, putting a suppressor on there. Walk us through the system, because for some people it's very intimidating. Oh, I got to do the federal thing. Do I do a trust? What do I do with the ATF? Once again, am I going to be on a list? Yes, you are. You're going to be on a list. Same list you're on because you're already buying guns. But what's involved in actually getting a silencer?
That's a good question. That's a very valid point, too. For a lot of people, it is a really intimidating process. But that's what Silencer Shop's whole business model is built around. Our model is silencer ownership simplified, and that's our number one goal, is to make it as easy as possible. So essentially, there are 3 ways to file to own a silencer, and I'll go over each of them real quick. So the first way is an individual, a trust, and then a corporation. So you got 3 different options right there. If you file as an individual, that's the most difficult way, and I'll tell you that most people do not go that way, because what it involves is you have to get fingerprinted by the sheriff. The sheriff has to sign off on your paperwork. You have to get photographed, and you have to submit all that paper to the ATF. So most people don't do that. The most common way for someone to file is with a trust. A trust is just a legal document, okay, kind of like a will. You can have a lawyer draw it up, or we actually sell them. With a trust, you don't have to get photographed, you don't have to get fingerprinted, and you don't have to have the sheriff sign off. All you do is simply give your FFL dealer a copy of the trust, and then we file the paperwork from there. So that's the simplest way.
There's an additional benefit of the trust that a lot of people don't quite understand, and that is you can have multiple people in your trust. None of you owns the silencer. The trust owns the silencer. So if one of you were to die, you don't have to will the silencer. The trust continues to own it, and the people who are left in the trust still have access to it.
Correct, and that depends on how your trust is written. Some trusts are written a little differently, but that's for 99% of people, that's absolutely correct. And that's the biggest benefit, too, is that other people can be in possession of it and other people can own it without having to go through another $200 tax stamp.
Right. Now, there's also the option of a corporation or an LLC, right?
Correct. And that works very similar to a trust. The only difference is that the board or the officers in the corporation or LLC are the ones that are in control of the silencer. So that's the difference.
All right. And all of that's on, I'm looking right now on your website, silencershop.com. You've got all this information there.
Absolutely.
All right, so how long is it taken now? Because, I mean, there was one point where it was taken anywhere from 9 to 12 months after you submit your paperwork before you could get it back and you can actually take possession of your silencer.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Right now, we're seeing between 3 and 4 months. There's also on our site, there's a handy-dandy little tracker that kind of gives you an idea as far as where you're at in the process. But, you know, between 3 and 4, it's creeping closer to 4 for the most part.
Now, didn't they have an electronic form? Did that go away?
It did. So the ATF allowed what they called e-forms, and so that ended April of last year. So it's been over a year since it's been down. And that was the quickest way. You know, at that time, we were seeing about 3 months, but since the ATF has hired more auditors, you know, we're seeing that with paper forms now. So if they bring back e-forms, it should be even faster.
All right, explain to me, I know that one of the things that people do, if you say you had a 9mm pistol at a 40 or a 9 at a 45, some people will actually get a suppressor for the larger caliber and they can still shoot the smaller diameter bullets, switch it over to that gun. Does that work?
It does work. What you wind up with is a couple of things. So let's just take the example of a 45 and 9mm. So if you buy a silencer specific for a 45, then it can also shoot 9, but it'll be louder than a dedicated 9mm silencer. It'll also be a little bit longer and a little bit heavier. So it absolutely does work, but you'll notice the best performance with getting one that's specific for your caliber.
Okay. Talk to me about quality, because I don't know. There seems to be like everybody's brother has gotten into making silencers. Is there an issue with you want to like get high quality, or is there even such a thing as high quality, low quality? I don't know.
Yes, there is. Explaining the difference in quality in silencers is a lot like trying to explain the difference in quality in scopes. There are so many variables that you're looking at that it really comes down to your specific application and your specific gun. So, you know, all the silencers that we sell on our site have a lifetime guarantee from the manufacturer. Some do things better than others, but all the brands we carry, which we've got about 14 different brands, are all high-quality brands that we've tested and shot and, put them through their paces to make sure that they meet our standards.
Okay. Now, what about cleaning a suppressor? I understand that can be an issue. Yes.
For rimfire and pistol silencers, you can absolutely clean them. Centerfire rifle silencers don't require cleaning. They don't have as much unburned powder, and they don't have any lead that is deposited into the silencer. Plus, they get quite a bit hotter than your pistol and rimfire silencers, so it burns off most of that carbon.
Well, do they ever? We just did a little shoot at the range, and we fired probably no more than 20 rounds through a 5.56, then used an infrared thermometer on it. We got 266 degrees on the suppressor.
Yeah.
So it can get hot.
They can get hot.
They really can. All right. So if somebody wants to say, okay, I'm in, I want to do this, how do they find out if they can do that in their state? Do you have that information available for them too? We
do. That's available on our website. Currently, there are 41 states where they're legal. So, that for the majority of the country, they're legal in some sort of fashion. The ones where they're not legal are the usual culprits: California, Hawaii, New York, New Jersey.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There you go. And the website is silencershop.com.
That's correct.
All right, Jeremy, thank you so much. Lots of information in a short period of time. You did a great job. I appreciate it. I'm just going to tell everybody, if you've not shot a silencer, go get one. But don't do it if you don't want to spend money, because trust me, as soon as you do, you're going to go jump on silencershop.com and start shopping. I guarantee you. 866-TALK-GUN. Open lines now. This is Gun Talk.
When it's all on the line, you can count on Trijicon Optics. Earning its reputation in combat and on hunts in all corners of the world, Trijicon comes through. The new AccuPower rifle scopes feature battery-powered illuminated reticles, variable power, adjustable brightness, plus they're waterproof. The years of waiting, the dollars spent, your hunt of a lifetime comes down to a single moment. Get Trijicon quality. Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have GunDealio, the free app for your smartphone. GunDealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get GunDealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with GunDealio. GunDealio.com.
Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit sigsauer.com today.
I'm back with you here. Going straight to the phones. Line 3, Jesse's with us out of Modesto, California. Hello, Jesse. You're on Gun Talk.
Hi. Hi, Tom. How you doing? I was just wondering if you've heard anything about this man out of L.A. County that was found decomposing in his car. His name was Jeffrey Lash. I assume that the wife, fiance, let the police in their house because I guess he's been lying to her for about 18 years, or maybe he wasn't lying. Told her that he was a CIA agent. Well, anyways, police found over 1.5 tons of ammunition in his house and 1,200 guns, I believe, or more, and confiscated them all.
Mm-hmm. I saw the story. I don't know where it is right now. One wonders, okay, under what provision did you confiscate the guns? What was the legal justification for that? I'm sure that one would hope there are a bunch of lawyers involved in this. I hope they have not destroyed the ammunition. Sometimes they just do that. Sometimes heck, in California, they just destroyed a guy's $700,000 gun collection completely illegally. Of course, he's suing them now for not just the destruction of that, but for under RICO statutes where he could end up with $15 million if he got everything there. Yeah, the triple damages for RICO. So I don't know where this particular story is about Jeffrey Lash, but I'm going to try to keep an eye on it and see where it goes. But I appreciate you bringing it up, Jesse. Thank you, sir. Line 2, Ray, South Carolina. Open carry. What's going on, Ray?
Hey, Tom. All right. So just to set the scene on the geopolitical level, South Carolina generally prohibits open carry. It's one of the last bastions that do that. So last Saturday, my wife and a friend of ours, we went down to Savannah, Georgia. It was about 20 minutes to the south. Open carry's legal there with a permit. Saw my first guy, like the first person I ever seen open carry and like outside of a range or somewhere you'd expect to see a gun. And I think I might have been the only person that saw that, or, because nobody cared. Nobody cared. We were on the main drag along the river. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No, not.
Okay, so there's just a riverfront that they have a lot of restaurants, bars, shops and everything. Lots of people, sunny Saturday afternoon. Nobody saw this except me. I told my wife to turn, hey, look at the guy in the red shirt. She turns, looks at him, turns back to me. What about him, she asks. I'm like, wow, really? It's like, that's interesting. It's really not a big deal.
Let me ask you a question. Did you happen to notice what kind of holster he had, just roughly?
It wasn't a Serpa holster. I was able to pick that much out. It was some kind of black Kydex holster along his belt. So I could figure out from where I was at. Right.
Yeah, you knew where I was going immediately, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I did. I did.
It's been my experience, and boy, I almost hesitate to say this because I have friends who open carry. But let's just say this, a lot of open carry folks use the cheapest POS holsters that I've ever seen, and almost none of them, or let's say very few of them, use a retention holster. That is a holster that has positive retention where you have to push a button or pull the gun a certain way to get it out of there. Just anybody that walks up behind you could snatch it out. We just had a guy in the news, was it last week? A guy saw that he was carrying a gun. I think he was carrying it concealed, but the guy somehow figured out it was there and snatched it out. And now he's fighting over his own gun. That is my primary concern. And look, I appreciate the call, sir. I appreciate that report. That's my primary concern with open carry is, are you carrying it in a retention holster? For whatever reason, also, I find that there are, again, well, if you're going to tick off some people, just go deep, right? A lot of folks open carry and don't have much training. I don't know what that's about exactly. Maybe it's just, maybe a lot of people just don't have training anyway, but it's become obvious to me they don't have much training. And yeah, there is a certain factor, and we all know this is true. There's a certain factor of machismo, Jim, you're right, where for certain numbers of open carriers, it's really about look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I can do this. Does that cause you a problem? Too bad. I can do this because I can, because I'm legal, it's my right. All the wrong reasons, of course. There are some good reasons. I I can buy some good reasons. I've open carried. Not my choice, but I have done it more experimentally than anything else. But what's the deal with cheap holsters? Man, it's a system. Also, cheap belts, for God's sakes. Get a gun belt. Not something that's wide and call it a gun belt. It has to be a gun belt made for carrying a gun. Yeah, well, I got a wide belt. So what? It's like a wet noodle. It's so flimsy and floppy and slopping all around there. So get yourself a good belt. I mean, there are any number of places. Wilderness Tactical, Galco, Safariland, Crossbreed Holsters, A&G Gun Leather. I mean, just go on and on and on. There are a gazillion places that have gun belts, whether you're carrying openly or concealed. You need a gun belt. Why? Okay, what's it matter? Floppy belts make for sloppy carry, guns sliding around. It may not be exactly where you went. You wanted it to be. It's not where you left it. But the other thing is, cheap belts are uncomfortable. They do not distribute the load of carrying the 2 pounds of steel or steel and plastic on your belt. A gun belt is simply more comfortable. Yeah, and if they happen to roll over, you may not be able to get your gun out at all, as Michelle is pointing out to me. I don't know what that's all about, but I have seen it enough to know it's a thing. This whole cheap holster, cheap belt. Maybe people don't want to spend the money for a concealed carry permit, so they don't want to spend the money for a good holster or a good belt. Hello, this is your parachute. You want the cheap parachute? This is your life-saving device. It's also the thing that you hope, in your mind, that you will use to help other people with. If you won't make a commitment to getting the right gear, you're not serious. If you won't make the commitment, you're a pretender. You're not the real deal. And a commitment means time and money. Two things, time and money. Time for training and the money for the training and the money for the right gear. If you won't make that commitment, I won't take you seriously.
You're listening to Gun Talk, now on more than 200 great radio stations. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, this story is running on Fox News right now. The city of San Jose seized Lori Rodriguez's guns after her husband was forced to undergo a psychiatric exam. But now she wants them back, contending that the seizure violates her Second Amendment rights. The city took her 12 guns away in 2013. Said she went to the federal court recently to get them back. She contends in her lawsuit, which also seeks damages and an injunction to prevent further seizures, that she has a right to have guns in her home despite her husband's mental health issues. I think it's, quote, I think it's the right for everybody, she says. You should be able to protect yourself. Yeah. You should be able to protect yourself. Somebody who's figured out that they are not there to take care of you, whoever they are. Line one, Alex out of Tacoma, Washington, just across the bridge, Galloping Gertie from Gig Harbor. How you doing, Alec?
Real good. How you doing today? Well, I guess I don't need to say that. But anyway, I was just calling.
Okay.
You were asking about permits in other states.
Yes, sir.
So I went ahead, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, I guess, and got a Utah permit to supplement my Washington one, because not everything doesn't work everywhere. But then every year they change. Because I noticed that my Utah permit isn't good in places that it was 2 years ago.
That's an excellent point. You got to stay up on it, don't you, to know, because you may get the permit and it's good in certain states, but then if you're not checking, you may not know that that permit's no longer honored by the state.
And it's, different states change their rules, and then it trips you up. I know Florida changed their rules and said that you could get a permit if you're 18, and so Washington stopped recognizing them. So I think Florida stopped recognizing Washington. It's a turnabout.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Then we get into this urination contest going back and forth. So once again, why we need national reciprocity.
Well, yeah, it's easier than having all these permits. But now I'm looking at Oregon because they don't recognize anybody else's, and they're right next door. And I used to like to go there.
All right. So you have a question about confiscation?
You mentioned something about, what do you do about worrying about somebody coming and confiscating firearms? My wife had a good idea. I don't know. Go rent a storage, go to a used storage place and keep some there. You pay cash, everything's fine.
Certainly, but there's a record of you having. There's a record of you using a storage facility. If it got, and somebody just wrote me a note, says, "Well, what's your plan if they're going door to door and kicking in doors and taking guns?" All right. I'll play along. This is one of those silly scenarios that people want to go to. You're not going to want to hear what I have to say. It's going to make some people very, very nervous. If they're doing that, we're in a shooting war with our own people. We're in a shooting war with our police. If they're kicking in doors and taking guns at gunpoint, it's a shooting war. Yeah, I said that. Okay, you figure out where you are on that one. Lauren's on line 4 in Des Moines, Iowa. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Pretty good, Tom. How are you doing?
What can I help you with?
I just wanted to comment on that woman who was saying that you should be careful about putting your family in danger of being on a list.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought on that is I don't think it really matters at that point in time if they come to your house and confiscate the guns. Your family, whether or not they agree with the gun being in the house, is going to be guilty by association, so it doesn't really matter. And at that point,
probably true. Probably true. I mean, it's my whole thing is, look, if you want to go to that mental exercise of the door-to-door confiscations, and we know it's happened before, 10 years ago in Louisiana and New Orleans, they were doing that. We're kicking in doors, pointing guns at people, and taking their guns.
Right.
I understand that. So it's not far-fetched, really, at all. And for those who say, well, the police won't do that, they'll just refuse to do it. They didn't. They were only too happy to do it. They were kicking in doors and knocking people down and knocking down little old ladies and taking their guns. So, yeah, we'll do it. So, okay, what do you do? Well, first of all, you make sure that you have guns they can take and guns they can't find.
Correct.
Okay? Let them take some, and the rest of them, they don't have to know where they are. The rental storage place, there's still records. You can't rent a rental storage place without giving them your information and showing ID and all the rest of it.
Right.
So I'm not sure that's going to work for you. So just a thought there. Let's talk for a second about this. Here's a question for you. This is a real world, no kidding question. If the police, whoever it is, if somebody declares martial law and they come to your door and they want to take all your guns, if you could give them cash to go away, how much would you give them? I'm going somewhere with this, so stay with me. If you could give them cash, if you could write them a check to make them pass up your house, how much would you be willing to give them? You won't be able to do that. But you can do something today. You can write that check today to a gun rights organization that helps prevent that from happening. The NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation got together, worked on this, and they got a number of states to pass laws after Katrina that said you cannot take guns away from people in a man-made or natural disaster. That's what that money goes for. That's what those contributions, those donations go for. So just, if you would, in your head, please, imagine that you're at your house with your kids and your wife or your husband and your kids, and there is an armored car just rolled up and SWAT guys rolled out and they're surrounding your house to get your guns. How much would you pay them to go away? You won't have that option, but you do have that option now. It's just my way of getting you to think perhaps that maybe getting involved now is a whole lot better than coming up with a doomsday plan, because your doomsday plan probably isn't going to work, really. Much better to just never let it happen in the first place, right? I think. So just as you're thinking about this, I just throw this thought out to you. If you would please consider the fact that you can't stop it when it happens there, so we got to stop it now to keep it from ever happening. Fair enough? 866 Talk Gun.
You may be a new shooter, a longtime gun owner, or even a police officer or soldier. No personal defense handgun is fully equipped without a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge, Crimson Trace.
In the fight for gun rights, we need ammunition, intellectual ammunition, and no one does it better than researcher John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime. John created the Crime Prevention Research Center to counter the junk studies being done to push gun control. But he doesn't have the big bucks of billionaires like Michael Bloomberg. All he has is us. So I'm asking for your help. Go to crimeresearch.org and donate what you can. This research makes all the difference. People ask what they can do to help preserve the Second Amendment. Honestly, this is one of the best moves you can make. If you can give a lot, that's great, but even the cost of a box of ammo helps. We need John Lott's intellectual ammunition. Go to crimeresearch.org. It's time to step up. crimeresearch.org.
Silencer Shop believes the world is loud enough. So we've made getting noise suppression for firearms easier than ever. All you have to do is visit a gun shop powered by Silencer Shop. And before you know it, noisy things like radio commercials will seem to be quieter. Help make the world a quieter place. Visit silencershop.com to find a dealer powered by Silencer Shop near you.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to springfieldarmory.com. That's springfieldarmory.com.
All right, 866 Talk Gun get you in here. Tom at guntalk.com is the email. Over on Twitter, I'm at GunTalk. And be sure to go over to guntalk.com/win to enter for a chance to win the Ruger Precision Rifle. Last chance to enter for that great rifle. Whoa, man, that thing is something. Guntalk.com/WIN. Going to line 2. Eric's in Fresno. Talking about these magazine bans. What's up, Eric?
Oh, doing pretty good. I was calling about the bans on the magazines, and I was wondering if that might lead to a ban on speed loaders for revolvers, because I carry different guns for like what I'm wearing or where I'm going or something, and sometimes I might carry a revolver. I was just wondering if they might be trying sometime to ban speed loaders.
Yes. In short, if you say it sometime, yeah, they want to ban all guns, period. So, yes, they don't like guns that are too big, because those are big old rifles that could shoot a long way. They don't like guns that are too small, because those are Saturday night specials. They don't like guns that shoot too fast, and they don't like guns that are concealable, i.e. any handgun. They also don't like magazines that have more capacity than they think they should have, but they can't quite figure out where the magic number is. In Colorado, it's 15. In California, it's 10. In New York, they went for 7. The magic number, of course, is Zippo, 0, none, nada. They don't want you to have a single round of ammo. So to the question of will it lead to speed loaders, of course, everything firearm related. It's where they want to go. To think that that is an overstatement is to just be dumb as a bag of hammers, or at least clueless and unaware, naive. For 50 plus years, I have heard them say we must ban this or that. They got a gun ban. 1994, the Joe Biden, it was Bill Clinton, but Joe Biden's now claiming that it was his gun ban. The 1994 crime bill, the ban on AR-15s, the ban on the most popular rifles being made in America. They banned them. They want to ban your guns. It is as simple as that. Line 1, Mike, Long Island, New York. We're talking about a place where they know about gun bans and things. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tom. How are you today?
I'm
real
good.
quick, you made the observation that if it gets to the point of mass confiscations and they're kicking indoors, it's a shooting war. I have a different view. I think people are much more compliant than that. And in illustration of that, I'll just point out that it's not that long ago, and there are lots of people around who remember, including George Takei from Star Trek, who were rounded up en masse in the entire west coast of the United States because they were Japanese. All of their property was confiscated, their homes, their businesses, everything except for a suitcase, and they were put in an internment camp for years.
Prison. They were put in POW camps, basically.
Right.
In our country.
And you know, it didn't come to a shooting war. People are compliant. It happened in Katrina. They confiscated the weapons. They still haven't returned the weapons from Katrina. And there weren't confrontations like that. I'm just making the observation, at least from my point of view, just like when you look at New York State or Connecticut and their assault weapon bans, people peacefully resisted, I'll say, in civil disobedience in the sense that they didn't register their weapons, but it didn't come to a shooting war.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and almost all people would say, no, I'm not going to subject myself to that because I could end up going to prison or I could get killed doing that. And so I will just let them take it. I guess the question is, do you think there's any percentage of people who would say, no, this far and no farther, I will not agree to this and I will do whatever it takes to stop it? Do you think there's any percentage of people who will do that?
I think there are, but I think it's like vanishing to zero nearly. It's a very, very small number who are willing to kind of back up, walk the talk. There's a lot. You go onto the Internet. I'm an older guy. I see the stuff that goes on the Internet, and I shake my head. There's a lot of keyboard cowboys out there and mall ninjas. And I think the average age is like 14 or something. So there's a lot of aggressive male testosterone talk, but the reality is very little to back it up, I believe.
Yep, exactly. Well, and you may be right, and I'm not disagreeing. So therefore, I go back to, just as a way of pointing it out, how much would you pay to have them go to another house? How much would you pay to have them not kick in your doors? Well, then how about paying that money now? Because it won't work then. It won't work then. How about writing that check today? What if we grew NRA from 5 million to 10 million? You know who we could elect then? Anybody we wanted.
Even though today's radio show is winding down, if you're on hold, stay there. Tom will pick your call up during the Gun Talk After Show. It's an on-topic, off-topic free-for-all coming up right after today's broadcast.
Uncomfortable conversation, isn't it? It is. It is. Gun confiscation, door to door, kick in the doors, take them at gunpoint. That'll never happen here. Yes, it will, and it did. Katrina, 10 years ago, door to door, kick in the doors, knock down little old ladies, take every gun, because we're not going to allow any guns here. Of course, that was back when Ray Nagin was the mayor. And then he became one of the mayors in the Bloomberg Mayors Against Illegal Guns. Now he's just known as prisoner 6574-34, serving time in federal penitentiary. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. If you want this to not happen, this is my thought for you. You stop it now. You draw the line here. You don't wait till we get to that other place. You get involved in the groups that have been going state to state and getting laws passed that say you cannot confiscate guns. Better, right? Better. So rather than go down that doomsday rabbit hole, how about take the thinking from that and generate something positive out of it, which is, I'm going to send X, whatever it is you can afford to spend, $25 a year, $50 a year, $100 a year, to the various groups. I'm going to bit and get involved. If I'm a member, I'll become a life member. If I'm a life member, I'll become a benefactor member. I'll contribute to the NRA ILA or to Second Amendment Foundation or to pick a group, okay? Stopping it here is so much better than considering what we would have to do, and maybe it would be impossible to do if we get to that point. So let's focus on the positive, what we can do now to keep that from ever happening. I think that's a better way to go, man. I just really do. Let's see. Line 3, Carm in New York State. Hey, Carm.
Hey, how you doing there?
I'm good. What you looking for?
Well, I was hoping you could direct me toward a smart decision. My wife and I have been talking about a shotgun for home defense. Mm-hmm. And she's a small girl, 130 pounds, 5'2". At 12 gauge, I think would be a lot of recoil on her, but some of my friends, I have avid hunters, and my best friend's a taxidermist. I haven't hunted in decades, but they're suggesting a 16 gauge. No.
I'm going to tell you what to get. Get a 20 gauge rather. Correct that. A 20 gauge pump shotgun, very possibly a Mossberg. You can get one that has a shorter stock on it that she can handle. This is important. This is very important. Get the shorter stock. You could still handle the shorter stock. She cannot handle the longer stock. So get a 20 gauge pump, probably be a Mossberg with a youth stock on it, small stature person stock on it. And then by all means, please go to a range and get some training with a self-defense instructor on using a shotgun for self-defense. Racking the slide is not self-defense tactic. Doesn't scare anybody away. It just gives away your position and tells them you have a gun. So you're giving away tactical advantage there. So 20 gauge, short stock, training. Simple as that. All right, everybody. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you in the after show. In the meantime, I'd like for all of you to reconsider your commitment to the gun rights, to safety, to keeping that door-to-door thing happening. Take somebody shooting. Get involved. Stand up and be counted.